The content of this video is related to slider widget. If you haven't read this documentation page, you should read it once. The specific documentation page for slider widget of this video, you can see it here. The following is some information. A slider assigns a value to a data stream within a predefined range. The predefined range you can understand is that it is created from min and max values in a data stream. Usage examples: volume, brightness, RPM, flap position control, etc. Move slider handle to set the value or use fine control buttons plus and minus to set the value more precisely. The step defines the minimum increment of values generated in response to movement of the slider by the user. The range of values the slider will generate is defined by the datastream min value and max value settings. The units displayed will also come from the datastream settings. The left window is the starting code of this video, and the right window is the schematic of this video. Before coding. If you have not installed this library, please install it. Here I write two macros. One macro named decrease button pin with the value of 16 and one macro named increase button pin with the value of 17. Next, I write code based on the button library. First, I include the library into the code. Next, copy and paste the sample code to initialize an object of button. We edit the code. Now we have two objects of button, decrease button and increase button. In the setup function, for each button object we call the begin method. In the loop function we catch the event when the user presses the buttons. Here I initialize a variable with the initial value of 0. This variable is used to store the current value of the slider. I write another macro. Here, one step corresponds to the value of 5. The main content of pressing the decrease button is to decrease the slider value, and the increase button is to increase the slider value. We should decide the range for the slider. The range is based on two values, which are min slider value and max slider value. Here we write two more macros. Min is 0. And max is 100. After pressing the decrease button, if the difference between the current slider value and the fine control step is less than the min slider value, we assign the min slider value to the slider value variable, which means that the current slider value is equal to the min slider value. If the above condition is not satisfied, we assign the difference between the current slider value and the fine control step to the slider value variable. You understand the content of the code after the user presses the increase button, right? We need to write code to update the current slider value for Blynk or receive the slider value from Blynk, so we need to know the name of the virtual pin to update the value. You go to the Blynk.Console with the same interface. You click on Edit Dashboard. Here, you drag the slider widget to canvas. You click here. Title. This is the label shown at the top of the widget. The default is the name assigned to the data stream. Data stream, data type integer or double may be assigned. Click on Create Data Stream. Select Virtual Pin. I decide to use pin V0 for this data stream. You write one more macro. Name it slider V pin. And its value is V0. Here, I assign the value received from Blynk to the slider value variable. In this video, on the hardware side, I do not use the LCD1602 screen to display the slider value. Instead, I use the serial monitor pane on the Arduino IDE. Color. The widget color takes on the assigned datastream color by default. Send values on release only, optimal. When enabled, the datastream is assigned a value only when the user releases the control, recommended setting. When disabled, all the values set as the user moves the slider will be assigned to the datastream. Handle step defines the minimum increment/decrement of the values as the slider position is changed by the user. The step value is a whole integer when the datastream data type is integer, and a decimal value when the datastream data type is double. In this information field, I set it to 10. Show fine controls adds a minus and plus to either side of the slider when enabled. The increment or step for this option is set by the Fine Control Step option. Fine Control Step defines the minimum increment/decrement of the values as the minus and plus to either of the slider is clicked by the user. This option is only visible when Show Fine Controls is enabled. Value Position sets the position of the slider value displayed to either the left or right of the slider handle. In this information field, I set it to 1. Save. Save and apply. Now we upload the code to the board. From now on, you watch the video and understand it yourself.